Hey, everybody, welcome inside the sit down. Ryan Mayer now joined by Xavier Tillman of the Michigan State Spartans, now an NBA draft prospect. And Xavier, first off, thanks for joining me today. I know it's a busy time of the year for you, even with the uncertainty that is this year's draft.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me, for sure.
Now, you're headed into the draft in an unusual year, to put it bluntly. We have this pandemic that has now forced it to move twice from June now into October and now into November. The NBA says November 18th. Just how are you holding up with everything that's been going on? How is the family doing? How's everything going for you guys?
It's going good. It's going good. We've been able to find a balance and kind of find a routine to where I can get my workouts in and my wife can handle her school stuff. And my daughter's doing homeschool now and I'm her teacher now. So I'm helping her with that stuff. And so we're doing good. We're finding our little niche right here of getting used to operating the way we want to and stuff like that. So it's been going pretty well.
How's the homeschooling been going? How's Dad as a teacher?
Oh my God. Best. I mean, the best I can is the easiest way I could put it. But I mean, not doing it ever before and trying to explain stuff, and it seems simple to me, but to her, she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, you really don't know." It's kind of, I kind of have to get past that. But once I do, we usually have like 45 minutes of good stuff where she can learn and all that.
For sure. Now, as you've been going through this process here, I know I've spoken to some of the other guys about the uncertainty, really, of this year, and we talked a little bit about it, right? The draft already moving twice in terms of the date. How has that been for you, just from a mental aspect of things? Is it worn on you at all, just not knowing, okay, when are we going to get this process officially started?
It's been interesting, kind of disappointing that it kept moving back. But at the same time, my excitement for getting to play where I've always wanted to play because of the NBA kind of keeps me alive as far as like, oh man, they push the date back. Because I know at some point, they're going to have to stop pushing the date back. So having that kind of mindset, that kind of optimistic mindset where, the time is going to come, just keep doing what you're doing is pretty good to have.
Now, for you, just take me all the way back to the beginning of your basketball journey. How did you get involved? Who got you started in playing the sport that you're now taking to the highest level that you can play it at?
Yeah, I would definitely say my mom. She played 4 years at the University of Michigan from 86 to 90. And she was a beast. When she left there, she finished top 10 in scoring, top 10 in rebounding, and top 10 in free throw attempts all time. So she was for sure a beast. And she was never my trainer or anything like that. She was just kind of saw that I gravitated towards the game and put me in a lot of camps, put me in a lot of different teams and stuff like that to see where I would best fit at. She was even my coach for a little bit, which, as a kid, you hate to have your parent coach you because every time you're like, come on, like, I know what to do, even though you might not know what to do. So, but I would definitely say my mom. I probably started playing organized ball maybe like second grade, but I had been playing basketball ever since I could walk. But like really, truly organized ball, second grade, and then AAU for me started probably like third or fourth grade.
And what was that point? Because everybody has that point, right, where they start to realize, like, okay, I'm a little bit different than maybe some of the kids that I'm playing with on these teams, right? I can take that opportunity to go to the next level. What was that point for you?
I always had that confidence level, just because I had never not made a team, if that makes sense. Like when you try out for a team, I had never been cut before, so I was like, okay, well, I got to be pretty good if I'm always on these teams I try out for. But I guess I would say going into my freshman year in high school, it was the first time I'd ever been in a newspaper, and we lost the championship of a tournament in Grand Rapids, where I'm from, and I got interviewed after the game, and they said, "Yeah, we're with." I think they said M Live, and I was like, "What? You guys want to talk to me?" and stuff like that. And I had seen nobody in my grade get kind of publicity like that, especially in the newspaper. So I'm like, "Oh man, so I must be kind of serious." And then from then on, it kind of trickled down to where, coming in my freshman year, I was like ranked number one in my position in the state. I think I was like top 10 overall. my freshman year, and it kind of just went from there. Where I was like, okay, well, I must be pretty good if I'm already getting this recognition.
Now, and you made the make the choice to go to Michigan State, and you've talked a lot about what that program and that campus life has meant to you in terms of growing up as both a person, maturity-wise, physically, mentally. Just what made you decide that the Spartans, though, in the beginning of that journey, was the right choice for you?
It was weird because at first I was gonna go to Marquette. I was
Mhm.
convinced to go to Marquette. But I hadn't taken my official visits yet. But the coach was recruiting me, Stan Johnson, their assistant, was a great guy, and he was just talking to me for a long period of time, for sure, most of my junior year, and then the summer going into my senior year. So then by the time it was time to go on my official visits, I told my mom, I already know where I want to go. I want to go to Marquette. She's like, no, you need to do all your official visits, and then we'll make the decision after that. Um, they were my last official visit, and I went to Purdue first, then Michigan State, then Marquette. The Purdue visit was okay. It was so far away, and it felt like it was in the middle of nowhere that I was kind of like, I don't really like this at all. But the Michigan State visit was really, really good, especially because I had visited there so many times unofficially because I only live like an hour away. So I've been to so many games, so many football games, and I was just so comfortable with the coaching staff as well as the environment and the teammates I was going to be able to play with. So I was already comfortable there. And then I went to Marquette, and everything was so new. It was like a city feel. It didn't feel like I was going to school. It felt like I was in the city. You know, that's where Marquette was in Milwaukee. So I was like, okay, I kind of don't like that. I don't want my daughter to have to grow up in like a city. Like I wanted to have kind of like a town to be able to help her grow and stuff. And that's what Michigan State was. And after my official visit with Marquette, I knew as soon as we were coming home, I'm like, okay, we're going to go to Michigan State. And that's how I made my decision.
And here we are 3 years later now with the opportunity to go into the NBA draft. And Tom Izzo is a guy that he's fiery when you see him on the court, on the broadcast. Fans know that side of him, right? But he's also a guy that deeply cares about his guys and also has that little bit of a lighter side to him too. So what's your best Izzo story from the course of your 3 years there?
It would probably have to be one of our comebacks. It was either my freshman year against Northwestern or against Michigan at home my sophomore year when we won to win the Big Ten outright. One of those two times. In the locker room at halftime, we're both down. Both times we were down. And his speech that he had to us wasn't this motivating speech, but it was like a challenge. Like nobody had ever challenged me before ever in my life like he did, as far as like almost discrediting you, like not believing that you could do it. He'd be like, man, I put too much pressure on you. I knew that you weren't going to be ready for this moment. This is a big stage, and I knew you weren't ready, da-da-da. So then in your head, you're like, oh, okay, I got to prove you wrong. So,
Right.
So during that halftime, definitely got me going to where I was like, listen, now I don't care about these fans. I don't even care about Michigan. It's me and you now, coach. Like I'm going to show you that I will us to this win and stuff like that. So that was definitely one of the better moments that I've had with coach on the court. I've had a ton of great ones off the court for sure.
No, and you mentioned that kind of competitive nature that he brought out in you there, right? To try and prove him wrong. And that seems to be a big part of your game and the way that you play out on the floor. You're willing to get in there and do the dirty work that other people may not necessarily want to do. Just how have you developed that aspect of your game, and where does that style of play really come from?
I've always played hard. That was kind of something my mom kind of instilled in me early on. It was just when you play, don't half-ass it. You got to give it your all every time. So I had that from an early age of playing hard. But then the whole outwork rather than outskill somebody, I learned that my freshman year at Michigan State, playing with Darren, Miles, Cash, obviously, Nick, Josh Langford, playing with guys like that. It was like, okay, well, skill-wise, I'm not even close to you guys yet, but I needed to make an impact in practice. Like the way I'm designed, the way I'm kind of cut is like I got to impact the game somehow, whether that's just setting a great screen and getting somebody open or checking the best guy offensively or even just making the extra pass to guys who are open in the right spot. So my freshman year, learning that, okay, they're going to get tired in practice, but if you just keep working and keep working and keep working, coach is going to see your improvement every day to day. I think that was huge for me because that gave coach a lot of trust. Like, this guy is a grinder. And it gave me a lot of confidence too. Like, okay, you got the motor. We just got to fine tune the skills and we'll be good. So I would say I grew up with it a little bit. And then my freshman year, through adversity, through playing those guys who are amazing ahead of me and getting better and learning from them, that's how I got to be where I am.
And you mentioned Jaron there, and that's a guy that has now been in the league and had the opportunity to go through this process. I wonder how much have you had the chance to talk with him at all going through this process? Obviously, it's different than what he experienced, but has he been able to give you some words of advice about going through this and how to go about it?
Yeah, I talk to Jaron like either every day or every other day. That is one of my closest friends. But yeah, his main point of advice is confidence. You gotta know that you belong, and don't take that to being arrogant. But like when you're talking and having your interviews, you have to really believe and trust your work that you put in. To where when the coach asks you a question, if you're better than so and so, you have to trust it. You have to know honestly if you are better than them, and you have to believe you're better than them. And that was something that I grabbed onto that, and then through all my interviews that I had, I'm confident in my abilities, but I'm not stupid either. Like, I'm not going to tell you that I'm a 40% three-point shooter, but I will tell you that I'm the best defender in the draft. So, you know what I mean? Not overselling it, but sticking my ground on what I know and what are my foundations and stuff like that.
And you mentioned the defensive part of your game. One of the things that I was watching some of the clips of Izzo talking about you through your career at Michigan State. One of the things that he mentioned at one point was the Draymond-like, and that's the word that he used, the ability that you have to really understand where you are on the floor, understand where you need to be and what's coming next. Kind of that preternatural knowing of, okay, this is where the ball is going to end up. This is where I need to be. Is that how you see yourself as a player too, in terms of, okay, I know exactly where I'm going to need to be before the ball is even going to get there?
Yeah, just like that, actually. It's funny that you say that because he's one of the players that I kind of model my game after as far as getting guys going. Like, if you really notice, like, he's great at getting Steph and Clay going, whether that's screening, whether that's running a DHO and giving them the right pass, or whether that's putting the pass on the money or anything like that. So my thing is him being literally exactly my size and my weight, and we play alike defensively and able to lead the offense, facilitate, something that like kind of guides me through when I play, and I try to do that every time I step on the court and play.
Now, it's safe to say that he's one of the guys that you would mention as a guy you look up to on the floor in terms of modeling your game after. I wonder, who are some of the other guys that, even if it's not modeling the game after, but just modeling yourself off the court with some of the things that guys do in the NBA, who are some of those guys that you look up to?
A lot. First, LeBron. First off, I love what he does for the Black community as a whole. He's kind of like the ambassador, I guess, as far as helping lead the charge, helping display everyone's feelings on the biggest platform, which is his, and that's huge. Another guy I really like is Dwayne Wade, specifically more so because of his family. How that's more important to him than keeping his image, if you know what I mean. Like, now having his daughter, Zara, I think that's her name, Zara, but having that confidence to where my child can be whatever my child wants to be, and I'm sticking to that, even though I have this platform of being this big old male figure, but really honing in on your family and accepting your family and loving your family more than anything else in the world. I credit him and respect that, and I even try to do that as much as I can with my own family because it's definitely inspiring for sure. So those two guys for sure stick out the most. But there are a lot of guys in the league that I kind of try to model myself after, not just my game, but just personality that I try to take from every little bit.
Well, those are two very good role models to have for sure, no doubt. And as you prepare and keep going through this process, and it's always a process of self-reflection and assessment and figuring out, okay, what can I do better? How can I continue to improve upon my game? What are those areas for you right now you're looking at and saying, okay, this is what I need to attack next as my weakness that it may be a weakness right now, but it's going to be better by the time I get in the league.
Yeah, for sure. My free throw shooting is the first one, I would say. My career at Michigan State, I think I shot like 69% from the free throw line. So it wasn't terrible, but it's not consistent enough to where I feel like a coach would want to trust me at the end of the game to get fouled. And so raising that up to high 70s, low 80s, or if I'm able to, low 80s, high 80s, that'd be great. As well as my three-point shooting. I think I shot 26% this year, my junior year. So if I can raise that up to the mid-30s and make myself a respectable three-point shooter to where, I'm not shooting 5 threes a game, but you're going to respect me like I'm going to shoot 5 threes a game. You're not going to leave me wide open and stuff like that. That's something that I want to add into my game as well. And then being able to switch 1 through 5 for sure. The game is turning into small ball. If you look at Houston, I don't think there was a guy taller than me. I'm 6', I think the tallest guy was maybe 6'7". So just being able to switch and guard guys like James Harden, if you can try, or Russell Westbrook, and being able to guard those guards and move my feet without fouling and stuff like that is the next step. So those 3 things for sure, I feel like will propel me even more.
For sure. And that's very much in that mold that we were talking about earlier, right? The Draymond Green type of guy where he may not necessarily always be a knockdown shooter from 3, but you have to respect him and go out to him.
Yeah.
The same thing when it comes to the defensive side of the floor, no question, being able to switch 1 through 5. So just finally, before I let you go, as you get ready for this process, you're going to hear your name selected on draft night. That is the goal. Whatever fan base ends up having you come to their franchise, what do you say to them? What are the parting words about what they're getting in Xavier Tillman?
You're ready to see a workhorse. I can't wait because Jaren tells me a lot of stories all the time, and you really got to love it, and you really got to be dedicated, and that's something that I am. Like, I love playing basketball. Like, that brings me almost as much joy as being with my family. Just being able to escape and kind of just be with just you and the ball is something crazy to me. So just get ready to get a workhorse. Just day in and day out, going to put in endless amount of work to be a huge contributor to the team. Also, I'm going to be a guy who's going to be in the community a lot. That's something that I always wanted to do, to give back, or whether that's philanthropically or just with my time and effort and just being with the people within the community I go to. Those things are also things that I'll try to do without a doubt. So both those, workhorse and me just being a community guy and going and meeting different people, different kids, going to different schools, talking to people, inspiring people. I think that's what I'll try to do for sure.
I love it. Well, Xavier, I'm looking forward to see wherever you end up, man. Definitely going to be following you at the next level. Good luck throughout the rest of this process, all right?
Thank you. I really appreciate it.